Hey, what's up everybody? Wheelie YouTube here, back with another video. So I'm doing part 2 of my Evilswarm Constellar discussion, and this is going to be about Evilswarms. I personally am coming down on the side of Constellars because I prefer the deck, just on a personal note, because it's an XYZ toolbox, and I generally speaking prefer XYZ toolbox type decks. Nevertheless, Evilswarms are really, really good, and I'm just going to talk about precisely why that is. Obviously, everyone knows it's because of their ridiculous infestation pandemic, which is, the super lance, as I like to call it. And it's pretty much what makes the deck so amazing. It allows you to overextend, allows you to push for game a lot more easily. You're not afraid of the likes of Bottomless Trap Hole, Torrential Tribute, or Dimensional Prison, so you can pretty much push and do whatever the hell you want, and for fear that, no fear that your opponent will actually do anything about it. Plus, sometimes you play the psychology game where they actually know you have it in your hand, you're just like, what do you do now? Anyway, so the main deck is 3 copies of Evilswarm Heliotrope, of course, 3 copies of Caster. This guy allows you an extra normal summon during the turn he was normal summon, which means that if he's Bottomless Trap Hole or something, you still get to normal summon an extra monster. 2 copies of Kerkion. We're not actually going to have him for a while, so for that reason I am testing out 2 copies of Evilswarm Hraesvelg. Pretty cool name, like German and stuff, or whatever. But Kerkion is amazing. He's the same as Constellar Somber. He basically allows you to banish an Evilswarm from your graveyard and add another one back to your hand, and during the turn you activate that effect, you get an extra normal summon. So it is pretty much like a 1-card XYZ play, or a 1-card Ophion play, which allows you to +1, because you get to search with Ophion. It's amazing. 2 copies of Evilswarm Mandragora. He's kind of just to get an extra monster on the field if you want to go for Shockmaster, or Evilswarm, or a Boros, which does happen on occasion, particularly in the mirror match. Happens to me quite often in that case. And finally, 3 copies of Evilswarm Thunderbird for the Evilswarm monsters. This guy's just absolutely amazing. Seriously, you banish him, he comes back during your next standby phase. It isn't during the next standby phase, which means he isn't quite as good as... he isn't as good as Wind Up Rabbit anyway, I was going to say, because he isn't as versatile. A spell, trap, or monster effect needs to be activated in order for his effect to trigger. Nevertheless, he's still really, really good, so I would definitely put 3 copies of him in the deck, without a doubt. 2 copies of Rescue Rabbit, of course. As we know, in Arsenal 7 is when all this stuff will be coming out, including Diagusto Emerald, so you're definitely going to have him in the extra deck in order to recycle the vanillas to use the effect of Rabbit once again. Nevertheless, to be honest with you, you don't even need Rescue Rabbit to win the duel. He's not even that, necessary. And finally, 1 copy of Dark Arm Dragon, on those very rare occasions when you actually get 3 darks in the grave. To be honest with you, it doesn't happen all that often. 2 copies of Forbidden Dress, 1 copy of Allure of Darkness. Because sometimes you get a Mandragora in your hand that you don't particularly want. You get a spare Kerkion, or you get a Hraesvelg that you're not using. 1 copy of Heavy Storm, and of course 3 copies of Infestation Pandemic. For those of you who don't know what it is, it just makes all Evilswarms unaffected by spell and trap effects during the turn that it's activated. Which is absolutely ridiculous, I have to say. One thing you're going to notice here is there's no Dark Hole, because honestly I don't think the deck needs Dark Hole. I could very easily just go, haha, Dark Hole, chain my thing, and blow up all their monsters, but to be honest with you, most of the time I can get over their monsters. And space was pretty tight, and I'm testing out various builds at the moment, and I may in fact fit Dark Hole in eventually, but I'm opting for a more monster heavy build at the moment. Reinforcement in the army to search up Caster early in the game. 2 copies of MST, 2 copies of Pod Duality for those turns when I don't go into first turn Ophion. I might just set a Hraesvelg, summon a Heliotrope and send a couple back row, or whatever. And as for traps, I have 9 of them, 2 Bottomless Trap Holes, 2 Dimensional Prisons, 1 Infestation Infection. Really good way to get Kerkion to your hand, or to get any Evilswarm to your hand that is useful in some way. It's ruled like Dark Smog, which means you can activate it during your opponent's turn. It's kind of like a quick effect type trap. Spell speed 2. Well, all continuous traps are spell speed 2, but you know what I mean. Solemn Warning, Torrential Tribute, Compulsory Evacuation Device, and Solemn Judgment. They're just for these single traps. The side deck is what is particularly interesting. I'm still working on it. But we have 2 copies of Max C against a lot of swarmy decks. We're going to be seeing Elemental Dragons coming along soon, and they definitely swarm like crazy. Madolches will be swarming more so when Hootcake comes out, so we have to watch out for that as well. They don't have any particularly bad matchups because they can handle all of the decks that revolve around the graveyard pretty well because they can side in Macrocosmos. Nevertheless, Max C is just a good generic side to have. 2 copies of Dust Tornado because if you're pushing, and there's a heavy back row type deck that you're playing against, and you want to be a bit more aggressive, you side in Dust Tornado. There's no particular reason for that. Goes in match because the deck can. One thing the deck is worried about actually is Rivalry of Warlords, so that's one reason to side in 2 Dust Tornadoes. 2 copies of Overworked, that is for Fire Fists. only, actually. But Fire Fists, as we know, are becoming more and more prominent. And in the next set, they're going to get a lot of stuff that's going to make them even better. So you have to be careful about that. One Deck Dev and one Eradicator. I never really like to tribute my Ophions, I gotta be honest with you. But to put it another way, it can severely cripple certain decks, so why the hell not do it? I see a lot of people putting this card in the main deck, Eradicator Epidemic Virus, and I would be of the opinion that it is a bad idea. Because sometimes you have control, you have Ophion in the field, you have 2 back row, and you're not really worried about much of anything. And you flip that up, and maybe you hit 1 spell or something. And you're like, big deal, you've lost your Ophion, and you've lost control. So many people have done that to me in my Mermails where I only run 6 spells, and then they call spells not knowing when I'm running, and then I'm like, okay, that's fine, I don't really care, now I'll just OTK you. A third copy of MST, again, for those decks that like to side in Rivalry of Warlords and other things like that. Debunk is like my new favourite card right now, because obviously with Mermails I'm very much worried about Max C, particularly now since I'm running the mono Mermail build, at least at the moment. And particularly in this deck as well, Max C doesn't really matter a lot to them, but the likes of Veiler on Ophion can be particularly dickish. So, being able to stop that and banish the Veiler or whatever, it's a nice comfort to have. And finally, 3 copies of Macrocosmos. Obviously, I'm going to change this up. I might go with D-Fishers instead of Macrocosmos, because I don't exactly want to be siding out my traps. And there's not a lot of stuff in there I want to be siding out either, apart from maybe Pot of Duality or something like that. But Macrocosmos, as we all know, it is really, really trolly. So many decks nowadays are all about the graveyard, particularly the top 2 decks, being Mermails and Fire Fists, represented at YCS Dawson rather well. As for the extra deck, Abyss Dweller, Digestor Emerald, this is all self-explanatory. Evilswarm Bahamut, he's basically the big eye of the deck, even though he's not nearly as good. 3 copies of Ophion, because he's absolutely broken. For those of you who don't know what he does, you detach and you search up an Infestation spell or trap card, and level 5 or higher monsters can't be special summoned, which means Elemental Dragons can suck on him all day long. I don't know. Evilswarm Ouroboros, what I like about him, it's not 3 level 4 dark monsters or 3 level 4 Evilswarm, as they call them. It's just 3 level 4 monsters. So, one thing that happened to me earlier was I normal summoned Rescue Rabbit, and the guy went to Veiler. This was a mirror match, by the way, and I was like, oh my god, you're such a dick. So then I special summoned Mandragora because he controlled 2 monsters, one of which was an Ophion and he had a Thunderbird or something. And then I Monster Reborned something else, and then I went into Ouroboros, bounced his Ophion and attacked over his Thunderbird. He used the effect of Thunderbird actually to banish, and he was left on like 350 life points. So I was like, that was pretty pro. I like that. So Ouroboros is amazing. Never mind the fact that he has 2 other effects that people don't really care about. So he has the compulsory effect, he has the send 1 mana random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, and he has target 1 card in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So he's a bit of a toolbox. It reminds me obviously of the 3 effects of Trishula, which is exactly what they are, I believe. I don't quite remember. I think it's banish 1 card in the hand, field, and grave. And for the rest of the extra deck, we have Cowboy, because he wins games, as we all know. Maestro the Symphony Djinn, because he's actually pretty good in a mirror match to get over Ophion, because it only has 1650 defense, so how about that? They're like, oh, he's going to crash with an Ophion. No, I'm not. I'm going to go into Maestro, flip it face down, and attack over it. Shockmaster, I go into him very occasionally, to be honest. Ophion is just so damn tempting. Black Ship of Corn, good against decks that like to stall against me and be annoying. Who use Zen mains and other stupid shit like that. I'm just like, oh my god. Go away, please. Thank you. Because this deck doesn't like monster effects. That's one thing that it really doesn't like. That's why I main deck Forbidden Dresses. Photon Pablo Operative, again, for decks that stall. Raikou is a concern of mine in this deck. And I was thinking about side decking Nobleman of Crossout, actually, against Raikous and things. But I haven't actually done yet. These are there because of Veilers I used to main, so we're just going to throw them away. And there are any number of rank 4 XYZs I could put in their place. I don't know, toss in a Utopia, I guess. What the hell is that? Utopia Ray V. Isn't that some like new Utopia? I don't know. Yeah, those things are actually becoming really good. The whole Chaos thing with Barion's Forest and all that shit. It's not half bad. Anyway, guys, I'm turning off. That's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Let me know what you think of Evilswarms. Personally, I prefer Constellars, as I said at the beginning of this video, but that is merely a personal choice. Evilswarms clearly have the edge in terms of their anti-meta potential. in the sense that they have their super lance, they have a lockdown card and a searcher card, all in rolled into one basically. You can lock down the likes of elemental dragons, chaos dragons, which will become dead after elemental dragons, so there's no point in mentioning them. Elemental heroes, the can't go miracle fusion. There's a bunch of decks that it locks down. And the only thing that's missing from the deck is, dealing with monster effects. And to be honest with you, to solve that issue, you could just easily main deck either Effect Failures or Fiendish Chains or Breakthrough Skill or something like that, and everything will be fine. So honestly, I wouldn't worry about that too much. I would never attack into a face-down monster against Chaos Dragons, because if you know it's a Raikou, then you're kind of screwed. You're going to lose your Ophion. Unless you activate Forbidden Dress at the start of the battle phase or on declaration of attack. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. As I say, thank you for watching as always, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.